Ever feel like there are unspoken rules to getting ahead? Understanding influence, maybe even just navigating daily life.
Yeah, totally. Like there's a whole other game being played.
Exactly. Well, today we're diving deep into a fascinating and sometimes, let's be honest, provocative set of ideas about power, the kind that really shapes our interactions, and the world around
And we're
us.
focusing on the 48 Laws of Power. It's more than just a book, right? It's like a distillation of centuries of strategic thinking.
Right. Outlining principles that, okay, can be uncomfortable sometimes.
Definitely uncomfortable. But they offer a pretty stark look at how power actually operates. So the plan is to unpack these laws, not necessarily to say, go do this, but more to understand the core logic.
Understand how they might show up in the real world.
Precisely.
Think of it as maybe a shortcut
Yeah.
to recognizing the power plays that are happening all around us, the strategies people have used for ages to gain and keep influence. So let's start with something really fundamental. How we're perceived, how people see us. Several laws hit this hard. The importance of perception and presentation.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Take Law 1, never outshine the master. Sounds simple, maybe even a bit old-fashioned, a little bit, but it taps into something deep, that human need for validation, especially from people in charge.
Okay.
So subtly making your superiors feel, well, more capable, it can actually work in your favor.
How so? Like, give me an example.
Well, think about historical advisors, the
Yep.
really clever ones guiding monarchs. They made sure the spotlight stayed on the king or queen, right?
Oh.
But their own influence, it grew quietly behind the scenes.
Ah, I see. So it's a kind of delicate dance. You boost their ego.
But you don't diminish your own competence while doing it. It's tricky.
It definitely sounds tricky, almost like playing a supporting role so you can eventually take the lead.
Kinda, yeah.
Then there's Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. This feels incredibly relevant now, like in our super connected world.
Oh, without a doubt. Reputation is everything. It acts like a shield, but also a sword.
A shield and a sword.
Well, a strong, positive rep. It can open doors, create chances you didn't even know were there. But a damaged one, oof, so hard to recover from.
Yeah, especially online. News, true or false, spreads like wildfire.
Exactly. So managing your image, being proactive about it, more critical than ever.
Okay, so to build that strong rep, Law 6 suggests we should court attention at all costs. Now that sounds a bit much.
It can sound that way. But it's not really about being obnoxious, I think. It's more about strategically making yourself visible, memorable.
So not just being good at what you do.
Well, the idea is, in a crowded world, just being competent isn't always enough. Sadly, you need to find ways to, stand out, capture attention in a good way.
Like innovators who create a buzz.
Precisely, making an impression that sticks, that resonates.
But then Law 30 throws a curveball. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Okay, hold on. Court attention, but hide the effort.
Yeah, it's like that swan, right? Gliding gracefully, but paddling like crazy underneath.
So why hide the paddling?
The psychology there is pretty interesting. By hiding the struggle, the blood, sweat, and tears, you kind of amplify how brilliant the achievement seems.
So it inspires awe, makes your talent seem almost magical.
Sort of, but there's a catch, right? If you never show effort, people might think you're not actually working hard, or maybe even that you're lazy.
Yeah, a fine line then.
A very fine line.
That seems to connect to Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. So it's about carrying yourself with dignity, projecting authority, even if you don't technically have it yet.
Think about it, yeah. How do you react to someone who walks in super confident versus someone who seems like unsure or apologetic?
You definitely react differently.
That self-assured vibe, it massively influences how others see your worth and how they treat you. It's like embodying the qualities you want people to see in you.
And to really sell that royal image, Law 37 says, create compelling spectacles.
Yeah.
Use big visuals, memorable events, that kind of thing.
History's full of it, isn't it? Grand coronations, powerful speeches, huge rallies. These things create lasting impressions. They reinforce power.
They hit you on an emotional level, make things stick in your mind.
Exactly.
Now the last piece of this perception puzzle, Law 46. Never appear too perfect. This one feels surprisingly real. Nobody likes a perfect person, right?
Right. Perfection can make people envious, resentful even.
So showing a few flaws makes you more human. Less intimidating.
Precisely. If you reveal, like, carefully chosen minor flaws, not major screw-ups, obviously,
Okay, right.
but small things, it makes you seem more approachable, less of a threat. It can be a subtle way to disarm people who might become rivals.
Wow. Okay, so image perception.
Yeah.
It's a critical first step in this whole power game.
Absolutely fundamental.
Okay, so we've dug into the art of presentation now.
Yeah.
Let's wade into perhaps murkier waters, strategic interaction, even deception based on some of these laws.
Yeah, this is where the book often gets people talking or arguing, but it's also, incredibly insightful about certain sides of human behavior. Law 2, for example. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
Whoa. Okay. That's stark. Don't trust friends. Use enemies.
It sounds brutal, doesn't it? The idea is that friends can be unreliable because emotions get involved. Envy, resentment, owing favors.
Okay. I can sort of see that. But enemies?
The thinking is, an enemy you manage to bring over to your side. They might have stronger reasons to prove their loyalty now. They have more to gain, or maybe more to lose.
That's a seriously cynical take on friendship, though.
It is very cynical.
But I guess I can see the cold logic. A former rival might go the extra mile to keep a new, useful relationship going. Have you, seen this happen?
Oh, sure. Think about politics, business deals sometimes. Most unexpected alliances pop up, right? Often out of necessity or pure strategic advantage.
Yeah, true. Strange bedfellows.
Exactly. Former rivals become allies when it suits them. The key, according to this law, is understanding motivations, not just feelings.
Okay. Then Law 3, conceal your intentions. This feels more like basic strategy, maybe? Don't telegraph your moves.
Pretty much. An open strategy is a vulnerable one, isn't it? If everyone knows what you're planning, they can block you.
Right. Keep them guessing.
Keep them guessing. Hide your real goals. It gives you surprise on your side, lets you control the story.
And that connects to Law 4. Always say less than necessary. The less you say,
the less ammo you give other people. Exactly.
Plus, it makes you seem more powerful, mysterious.
Yeah, speaking less can create that effect. When you do speak, your words carry more weight because they're rare, and, you're less likely to say something dumb you'll regret.
Or something that gets twisted and used against you.
Precisely.
Now, Law 12 is fascinating. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Wow. So occasional sincerity can mask manipulation.
It's about building a facade, essentially. A carefully timed act of honesty or maybe a generous gesture. It can make someone lower their guard, make them think you're trustworthy.
So they're less suspicious later, when you actually do have ulterior motives.
That's the idea. It's a calculated risk, playing with trust like that. But the law suggests it can be very effective.
Feels pretty manipulative.
It absolutely is. Many of these are.
And to figure people out, Law 14 advises, pose as a friend, work as a spy, gather intel while pretending to be pals.
Information is power, right? So cultivating what look like genuine friendships, it can be a way to get valuable insights, learn people's motivations, their weaknesses.
So being super observant in your social life, strategic even.
That's the essence of it.
Man, it sounds like a spy novel. And then Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker, seem dumber than your mark. I've definitely seen people do this. Pretend to be clueless to lure someone in.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic tactic. When you seem less smart or less capable than your opponent.
They underestimate you.
Exactly. They get cocky, complacent, and maybe they let slip their own weaknesses or what they're really planning.
Gotcha. Okay, last one in this section, Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Mimicking your enemies to mess with their heads. That's like psychological warfare.
It really can be. It forces people to see their own behavior reflected back at them. It can be mocking, confusing.
It throws them off balance.
Totally. It disrupts their composure, their emotional state, puts them at a strategic disadvantage.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, these laws definitely paint a picture of interaction that's often strategic, sometimes deceptive, and always about keeping the upper hand.
A calculated approach, for sure.
From subtle stuff to outright deception. Yeah. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How do these laws talk about cultivating dependence, getting control over others?
Right. Several laws focus squarely on that, establishing and keeping control. Law 8, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. It's about setting things up so others have to seek you out.
Putting you in the driver's seat from the start.
Exactly. Think about a top expert in some field. Their time is gold, right? People will bend over backwards to get their attention, their advice. They've made others come to them.
It's about creating demand for what you offer. Knowledge, resources, connections. whatever.
And Law 11, it builds right on that. Learn to keep people dependent on you.
Okay, that sounds potentially problematic. How far is too far?
Well, that's the tricky part, isn't it? The law suggests making yourself indispensable secures your position. If people rely on you, they can't easily get rid of you.
Bugs.
But yeah, if you create too much dependence, total reliance, that can definitely breed resentment. People might start looking for ways to break free. So it's about strategic reliance, maybe, not total control.
Strategic reliance. Okay.
Yeah.
Law 31 takes it further. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Sounds like steering people without them realizing it.
That's exactly it. By carefully framing the choices available, maybe leaving out options you don't like or making one seem way better than the others.
You guide them to the outcome you want.
Yep. While they feel like they made the decision freely, it's a pretty sophisticated form of influence.
And then there's the rather chilling Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew, finding and exploiting weaknesses. That feels particularly ruthless.
It is. It's a starkly pragmatic, almost cold view of power dynamics. The law basically says, understand someone's insecurity, their hidden desire, their vulnerability, and you have leverage over them.
Yeah, leverage. But using that kind of knowledge feels dangerous.
It absolutely can be. Wielding that kind of information irresponsibly, huge potential fallout. It definitely highlights the potential darker side of these principles.
No kidding. So yeah, from creating dependence to controlling choices, understanding vulnerabilities, these laws show how power can be wielded by managing other people's needs and weaknesses.
These tough set of ideas.
Definitely. These laws certainly show power as something you actively chase and keep by influencing, sometimes controlling others. Okay, let's pivot to conflict. Competition. How do these principles advise handling that? Because it's inevitable, right?
Absolutely. If you're pursuing any goal, especially involving power, you're going to hit opposition. Law 9 says, win through your actions, never through argument.
Okay, so show, don't just tell.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Demonstrate your point with actual results, tangible success. It's much more powerful, usually, than just trying to win a shouting match or a debate.
Yeah, actions speak louder. Harder to argue with success, you can see.
Right. And then Law 15 takes a very decisive stance. Crush your enemy. Totally.
Totally. That sounds final.
It is. The principle here is if you leave rivals even a small chance to recover, they could come back to bite you later.
So eliminate the threat completely.
That's the idea. Complete neutralization. It's a real zero-sum game mentality. No loose ends.
Wow. Okay, following that aggressive line, Law 23 advises to concentrate your forces. That just makes practical sense, doesn't it? Don't spread yourself too thin.
Focus is absolutely key. Whether it's time, energy, money, people, concentrate your resources on your main objective. You maximize your chances of breaking through, winning whatever competition you're in.
Makes sense. Now, Law 39 suggests something more disruptive. Stir up waters to catch fish, create chaos to find opportunities.
Yeah, I've seen this play out too, in business, politics, even personal stuff sometimes, when things are messy and uncertain.
Established structures get shaky.
Exactly. Power dynamics shift. It creates openings for people who are quick on their feet, adaptable, maybe a bit opportunistic, turning instability into an advantage.
Interesting. And finally, Law 42 lays out a classic strategy. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter.
Right.
Go after the leader.
Right. Target the central figure, the boss, the influencer, the main organizer. If you can destabilize or remove them,
The whole group falls apart, or it becomes easier to manage.
that's the strategic thinking behind it. So yeah, these laws on conflict offer a whole toolkit, from showing strength to strategic disruption to taking out the key players.
So whether it's outsmarting rivals or just dismantling the opposition, these laws give a pretty stark look at competitive strategies. Okay, let's shift inward now. Personal strategies. How you present yourself. What do the laws say about that?
Good question. Beyond just external tactics, several laws really focus on your inner game and how you project yourself. Law 20 advises do not commit to anyone.
Stay independent.
Yeah, it highlights the power that comes from not being tied down to any one group or faction. You keep your options open.
Avoid getting stuck in alliances that might become a burden later. There's a freedom there.
Exactly. Then Law 25 encourages something more active. Recreate yourself.
Yeah.
It's saying you don't have to be stuck with who you were or how society labels you.
You can consciously shape your own image, your persona.
Yeah, mold it to better serve your goals. It really resonates with, like, personal branding today, doesn't it?
Totally. Crafting your own narrative.
And once you've got that persona, Law 28 says, interaction with boldness. Hesitation looks like weakness.
So act decisively, even if you're kind of freaking out inside.
That's the idea. Projecting confidence can actually influence the outcome. It's that fake it till you make it idea, but with the strategic edge.
Okay, and to back up that boldness, Law 29 stresses plan all the way to the end. Think everything through.
Foresight, considering consequences, having backup plans. Avoid getting caught by surprise.
Like playing chess, thinking several moves ahead. Gotta anticipate problems.
Crucial for any long-term success, the law implies.
Interestingly, Law 38 suggests a kind of social camouflage. Think as you like, but behave like others. Blend in on the surface.
Right. Fit in outwardly, don't draw unnecessary negative attention or opposition. But privately, maintain your own independent thoughts, your own strategies.
It's like strategic conformity lets you operate more freely without setting off alarms.
Well put. And finally, Law 48 emphasizes adaptability. Assume formlessness. Be flexible, unpredictable.
Like water, right? Adapting to whatever container or situation you're in.
Exactly. Being able to shift your approach based on the circumstances, that's a huge advantage. Makes you more resilient, harder to pin down.
So these inner strategies are about self-awareness, adaptability, and consciously crafting how you appear.
Absolutely. Now, how about we look at social dynamics? Wielding influence within groups.
Yeah, because power rarely exists in a vacuum, right? You got to navigate social structures. Law 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Okay, that sounds kind of harsh.
It does sound harsh, but the idea behind it is that negativity, even bad luck, can be contagious, or at least perceived as contagious.
So associating with downers drags you down too, in terms of mindset or reputation.
That's the thinking. People might start associating those negative traits with you, fairly or unfairly. It's about protecting your own energy and image.
Okay. Law 13 offers a practical tip. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest. Frame requests as a win-win.
Makes sense, doesn't it? People are way more likely to help if they see what's in it for them. Understand their motivations, tailor your pitch. Much better than just asking for a favor out of the blue.
Yeah, definitely more effective. Law 19 gives a critical warning. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. Some people can hurt you more than others.
Crucial. You got to map the terrain right. Understand the power dynamics. Figure out who the key players are. Accidentally offending someone with real influence, that can have serious blowback. Strategic awareness is key.
Within hierarchies, like at work, Law 24 advises play the perfect courtier, mastering the art of sucking up. Or is it more nuanced?
Well, maybe sucking up is part of it sometimes, but it's more about skillfully navigating the system, understanding the unspoken rules, pleasing the right people, flattery, diplomacy. It can be a path to getting ahead in those structures.
Okay, the art of pleasing. Then Law 27 goes into charismatic leadership. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. Tapping into desires for meaning.
Yeah, this one explores the intense power of shared belief, how charismatic leaders can inspire incredible loyalty, almost devotion, by offering people something bigger to belong to, something to believe in.
That's potent stuff.
Very. Building on that connection idea, Law 43 advises work on the hearts and minds of others. Real influence isn't just forcing people, it's winning them over.
Emotionally and intellectually.
Right. Lasting influence often comes from genuinely shaping beliefs, gaining real support. Understanding values, appealing to emotions.
And finally, when it comes to making changes, Law 45 says, preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Go slow.
Gradualism, radical change, boom, all at once, often creates massive resistance, pushback. But implementing reforms step by step lets people adapt, makes it easier to swallow, reduces the chance of a revolt.
It's hard. So these laws really dig into the nuances of social interaction, understanding people, group dynamics, all crucial for influence.
Definitely covers a lot of ground on the social side.
Okay, we've covered a ton. Explored these laws across so many themes. Maybe let's wrap up by touching on some principles that seem to offer caution, wisdom, limits to power.
Yeah, that's important. Several laws do offer checks and balances, or perhaps just strategic patience. Law 16, use absence to increase respect and honor.
Be less available.
Kind of. Constant availability can make you seem less valuable, less important. But creating a bit of scarcity, it can actually boost your standing. Think of that expert we mentioned. If they're hard to get hold of, their time seems more precious.
It's like supply and demand for people.
Yeah.
Okay. Law 17 advises, keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. That sounds risky, though. How do you be unpredictable without just seeming erratic or untrustworthy?
It is a very delicate balance. The idea isn't random chaos, it's strategic unpredictability, keeping opponents specifically off balance because they can't quite guess your next move. But you don't want to alienate your allies or seem totally unreliable.
Okay, strategic, not just random. Got it. Law 18 offers a really important counterpoint to some of the more isolating laws. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous.
Crucial reminder, while independence is valued in some laws, total isolation, that cuts you off from information, from support, from opportunities. Power needs connection to thrive. You can't influence people if you're locked away.
True. Law 22 presents a surprising tactic. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Giving in can be strong.
Sometimes, yeah. Temporarily yielding when you're clearly outmatched. It can buy you time, let you save your resources, regroup for a better moment later. It's strategic retreat, not giving up forever.
Timing seems to pop up again and again. Law 35 is explicit. Master the art of timing. Know when to act, when to wait.
Absolutely critical, isn't it? Seizing the moment when it's right, but also having the patience to hold back when it's not. Rushing in too soon or waiting too long can both wreck your plans.
Law 36 offers a psychological tool. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. Don't let wanting what you can't get mess you up.
Pretty much. Sour grapes, maybe, but strategically applied. By refusing to acknowledge the power of something unattainable, you lessen its hold over you. You free up your energy for things you can achieve.
That makes sense. Law 40 advises, despise the free lunch. Things aren't usually free, are they?
Often not. Accepting handouts can create obligations, dependence. Maintaining your independence often means paying your own way, not being beholden.
Right. Law 41 cautions, avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Forge your own path.
Yeah, trying to perfectly copy a successful predecessor, it often leads to bad comparisons. It can stifle your own unique strengths. Real power, this suggests, comes from carving out your own identity, your own way of doing things.
Be original. And finally, Law 47 is a huge warning about limits. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. Know when enough is enough.
Overreaching is dangerous. Success can make you cocky, right? You push too far, get greedy, and potentially lose everything you gained.
Yeah.
Knowing when to consolidate your victory, when to stop, that's a wisdom, strategic thinking.
We should also quickly mention Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. That's about delegation and making sure you get the recognition.
Right. Leveraging other people's talents effectively, but also strategically positioning yourself to get the credit for the overall success.
And Law 26. Keep your hands clean. Basically, get others to do the dirty work.
Essentially, yeah. Distancing yourself personally from any negative or unpopular actions while still benefiting from the results. Maintaining that clean public image.
Okay. Wow. So we have journeyed through these 48 laws. It's quite a framework, isn't it, for understanding power dynamics? Sometimes cynical, definitely thought-provoking.
Undeniably thought-provoking. It shows how individuals and groups, well, gain and maintain influence.
And remember, as we said at the start, encountering these ideas. It isn't about saying, yes, I'm going to do all this.
Not at all. It's more about recognizing the patterns, seeing these behaviors in action around you, understanding the strategies that people have used throughout history.
And hopefully that understanding helps you make more informed choices in your own life, your own interactions.
Exactly, making conscious choices rather than just reacting.
So here's something to think about. Considering all these laws, what's one principle you've maybe seen play out? Perhaps intuitively noticed it in your own experience or just watching the world?
Yeah, that's a good question to ponder.
And how might understanding these dynamics, even the uncomfortable ones, change how you navigate things going forward?
This deep dive into the nature of power, it really is just the beginning, isn't it? There are countless real-world examples, so many more nuances we could discuss.
Absolutely. We really encourage you to reflect on these ideas, see how they resonate, maybe spot them in action in the world around you. It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. Lots to chew on.